Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Startup Junkies podcast. Thank you for tuning in from wherever and however you are consuming this incredible content today. My name is Caleb Talley. I am a startup junkie, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jeff Amerine and Victoria Dickerson. How's it going, guys?
It's Friday.
It is Friday.
It's all good.
Going good.
It's Friday. The snow's melting.
It's bourbon
The sun's
30.
out. Yeah, bourbon 30. And we're excited to be joined today by a friend of ours and an entrepreneurial support organization, executive director, Kindred Spirit, Rodrigo Salas of EforAll. He's also an entrepreneur himself and has done a lot of great things. We'll let you talk about all of that later, but thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be having the whiskey hour with you guys.
Absolutely. It's the best part of the day. Best part of the week.
Yeah.
Can you give us the origin story? We want to talk a little bit about yourself. Give us the background of what you did leading up to EforAll, and then talk a little bit about EforAll as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am from Mexico City, born and raised there. Moved to Texas in 2003 for business school at the University of Texas in Austin. Mm-hmm. Then moved to Dallas, worked like all of my previous work before moving to the US was in marketing. Mm-hmm. So I was a brand manager for Nestle for many years in Mexico. Moved to Texas, continued in marketing and advertising work for one of the largest advertising agencies networks in the world. Mm-hmm. For many years as a strategy director, for accounts like Procter & Gamble and Nissan and all that stuff. Really fun. And then me and my wife had the fun and crazy idea of starting our own business, and we started our Mexican food business. We were frustrated with the variety of packaged Mexican products that we could find in the US. We wanted to make it easier, simpler to prepare high quality, flavorful Mexican foods.
Mm-hmm. Authentic, right?
Authentic, and more importantly to us, it was clean ingredients. That was very important to us. That would because most of the products that you find out there, they're packed with other preservatives.
It's like a chemistry set, right?
Yeah, exactly, more than the
Yep.
real thing.
Yep.
And the other one is that we wanted it to taste like homemade. And it's really, really hard to get that when it's Mexican product. Normally, they just blend all the ingredients, add a little bit of chemicals, and that's it. And our intent and what we do with our products is like replicate the cooking process of a Mexican cook in a home kitchen.
Gotcha.
So they saute the onions and the garlic and roast the chili pepper, so it's more artisanal, but it enhances the flavors and it makes it way better. But anyway, I'm biased because I'm the founder and the owner.
All of our audience is going to be really hungry after that. To that description, I'm just thinking, man, let's get more of the wafting going from Tula downstairs. Really good.
So it's been a very fun journey. I had to go back to school, learn how to not to kill people, processing, because for 3 years I had to rent a commercial kitchen and I was bottling, making, and labeling the salsas because I didn't have enough volume to justify a co-packer, and no co-packer wanted to talk to me. Mm-hmm. So I did it for 3 years, went to farmers market, sell at the farmers market, then because of the farmers markets, Whole Foods and H-E-B found our products, and we started entering into the retail, scene. But COVID happened and it hit us really hard. Our products are premium priced. We rely heavily on tastings in the store.
Sure.
So during the COVID days, our sales plummet really bad, except for a few. Like our core customers, our core retailers, they continued selling really well, but some where we had expanded, it hit us really hard. So now we've reduced our footprint, but we're refocusing and we're trying to focus more on online sales as well. That's something that it's easier to implement and execute. Mm-hmm. You don't depend on distributors, on brokers, and all the value chain that the traditional retail channel has. So, reinventing ourselves. That's what we are right now with our business. And then we moved to Northwest Arkansas from Dallas because of my wife. She was working at Walmart at the health and wellness division. She was living here for a year, traveling back and forth, and we would come and visit, and we loved it. We were still unsure if we wanted to move or not, because big city has everything.
Right.
But as we spent more time, here with my wife during the weekends, we saw the value of moving to a smaller community where our son could have more liberty, more freedom to do whatever he wanted, and for us as well to have a more quality of life instead of like living in the traffic and all this hectic lifestyle that we had in Dallas. So we decided to just do it, and sold our house in Dallas, moved to Bentonville, and we are loving it. My wife switched jobs a year ago, and the new company is in Minneapolis, and we were like, we're not moving. Like,
not Target.
No, it's United Health.
Oh, cool.
United Health. Okay. So the one thing that she made sure is like, we are staying put in Northwest Arkansas.
That's fantastic.
We're not moving over, and we're not moving. We're like, okay, you can work remotely. So she has to work, travel once a month, but it's 2-3 days, and that's it. So it's not that bad. And to this day, our friends in Dallas ask us, why did you choose to stay in Northwest Arkansas instead of coming back to Dallas? If you can work remotely, and our answer is like, you have no idea the quality of life that we have in Northwest Arkansas. And we don't want you to know either. We don't want you to move here.
You just don't love concrete that much, right?
Yeah.
I think Dallas has got more concrete per square mile than anywhere else in the universe.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Nuts. But we everywhere here, it's 15 minutes away.
Yeah, exactly.
Wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
And that's with traffic. Mind you.
Yeah. People complain about traffic around here. It's like
no, you have
the
no
worst
idea.
day in Northwest Arkansas is better than any day that I ever had around the Washington D.C. and the Capitol Beltway. There's no traffic here.
No
on
traffic.
A bad day, it takes you 30 minutes rather than 15.
If it's sprinkling outside and I-49 slows down a little bit, that's about the extent of it.
And you cross with a Texan.
It's so nice.
Gotta watch out.
But so all that fantastic background, business background, entrepreneurial background. So talk about how you made the connection with EforAll and what EforAll is.
Well, the connection was thanks to you guys, actually. So I was...
That's an unpaid endorsement.
We didn't pay him.
But thank you for that.
Write that check out to cash.
Whiskey's okay.
Okay.
So when we moved here, so ever since I started my business, I had to use mentors to guide me, because me and my wife, we couldn't talk about the business. Otherwise, we were going to divorce in 2 seconds. So we had to separate that part. And I used SCORE in Dallas and their mentors to help me, guide me in certain parts of, of the business that I had no clue what to do. And ever since I had that help, I decided to do that as well, like mentoring people and helping people with their business. So I started doing it in Dallas. And when we moved here, I started looking for places where I could do it. And I found you guys, and I started mentoring people here. I was doing it in Spanish. So as I was doing that, Morgan, who used to be here, she told me, hey, this organization is looking for a bilingual ED. Would you be interested? And I'm like, I have no idea who they are. Let me look at them and see what they do. And when I saw the mission, I loved it, because it's really, I think that what EforAll does, it's a really wonderful job, like helping people in the community. So anyway, I applied, took about 4 months. It was a long process.
Sure.
But got the job, and I started July 2021. 2021?
Time flies when you're having fun, right? It does, right?
2021, yeah. So it's been a year and a half, and I'm loving it.
And it's really a different approach to acceleration, given what you do and the bilingual nature. Talk about how it's different than what most people would think about in terms of a typical accelerator.
Yeah,
program.
so we call it an accelerator. I think it's just because it's easier for people to grasp it and to get the concept. But really, it's more. It's in between an incubator and an accelerator, because we help. Like, really, what we do is get deep into the business understanding, because a lot of the people that come through our program, they're struggling with that part, like really knowing how to structure the business, how to even determine who's their customer segment, or things of that nature. So that's what we focus on, like trying to give them a good, picture of what the business should look like and what it should be in the future, and plan accordingly. Because all of it, like many times, what we see is that all of these ideas that they have, they come from their own need. They identify a need that they have, and they are like, how come nobody else is doing it? I'm going to do it. But what we want them to think is whether, okay, you need it, but how many else? How many more people outside of you need that same solution, and are they willing to pay for it? Because if there's no market for it, you can have the best idea ever, but it's going to die.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what we try to do with them. And also another thing that it's really, really powerful about our program is the mentoring part. So every entrepreneur that enters our program is teamed up with a team of 3 mentors that work the whole time with them. And it's not like they're going to teach them anything, or it's more advice, coaching, motivation, because every entrepreneur has a lot of setbacks, a lot of failures, and you need somebody to tell you, hey, it's okay, keep moving, just find a different way to do it. And that's what the mentors do, like Victoria, that has been doing it for a while. And we have a lot of amazing mentors that are, I think the most important is that they're empathetic, that they understand the situation of their entrepreneurs, and that they help them through that empathy in working through their businesses and their challenges and their plans.
And it's very approachable, because you have a cohort that's provided in English and one that's provided in Spanish as well. Talk a little bit about why that's important and how that's made an impact on the folks that you're serving.
Well, I wasn't sure if it was going to be that much of a need here, but we have 100,000 Hispanic people and counting.
That's the fastest growing
demographic
segment in the area.
And the fact of the matter is that, like, they are very entrepreneurial. They are constantly starting businesses, but they don't really ask for help because they can't find the help in their language. Right. So it's really powerful having a tool that it's in Spanish. Unfortunately, in Spanish we can't have as many mentors as in English, because we have a smaller pool of mentors to pull from. But the mentors that we have are very, very prepared, because they are working at Walmart, at Tyson, and University of Arkansas. So it's amazing, and it's not only the language barrier, it's also breaking this cultural barrier, because the challenges that a traditional entrepreneur faces when they're starting a business, when you are coming from a different country, they multiply, because then you have the language, you have the culture, you have the systematic, in other countries, systems like government systems and everything works differently. So understanding all those things, it's really, really hard. So having somebody in your language that is helping you, guiding you, and telling you all this, and maybe we can't give them all the answers, and we don't know all the answers, but we try to, in the best of our ability, connect them to all the resources that they can use and they can tap into, so they can continue moving forward with their ideas and make them better. And that's the reality, is that we're not magic, and we can't help everyone and make them successful, but we try our best through our program to at least point them in the right direction.
Sometimes I say, as we think about what we do in entrepreneurial support organizations, and the best thing we can do is illuminate a path that only the entrepreneur can walk down, but at least there's light on that path, and it's not complete darkness. And especially if you think it's hard enough to start a new business when you're familiar with the culture and the regulations and all that, when you've got that added level of friction that you're from somewhere else and you don't speak the language, it's so much more difficult. And yet, all the studies will show that people who are immigrants in the U.S. are the ones that primarily are starting the new businesses.
Yeah.
Those that scale and otherwise, and they bring with them a hunger to do it, because I think there's something to the American dream that's still real, and that entrepreneurship is possible and encouraged here. And that's not true everywhere. So I applaud what you do.
Yeah.
I think it was a missing piece that was in the ecosystem that you're filling admirably well. So good on you for doing it. Absolutely.
They've got the right person for the job too.
Thank you.
I like how y'all have, I know just having participated in some of the interviews for potential cohorts too, just kind of how y'all bring in the community around just the selection process in addition to the mentorship. And I think that kind of gets community buy-in to support the programs that are being delivered through EforAll. Basically, it gets individuals more engaged. Like, I remember being on calls with folks from banks and the university and stuff going through the selection process and seeing their enthusiasm to get excited about entrepreneurship, stuff that we see every day. So I think that's just such a neat process of kind of engaging folks that might not otherwise have those touch points to entrepreneurship.
It's true. Yeah. And it's expanding also their networks, because oftentimes the networks are very limited to their own community, their own circle of, very close circle of friends, family. So part of the, in the real world, we all know that networks make a big difference
for sure,
for success. So helping them expand not only with the mentors, but with the people that are every touch point that they have with anybody from the community helps them expand their network. So that's part of the objective of the program as well, expand those networks.
Well, and it's fun. You guys do a really good job of making it fun to be a mentor, to be involved as an entrepreneur. I mean, you and Anna and Deanna are just, you guys are amazing. But I was a mentor this past cohort, and I'm a mentor now. And my biggest takeaway was just the community that I felt with the other mentors and the entrepreneur. Tori Newland was our entrepreneur, and then now with Alexandra Purefoy. She's amazing, and the other mentors. And so just the community that you guys have built and making it a safe space and a fun space is part of the success. So kudos to you guys for making it amazing.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I never hear that often. So thank you for telling me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You talked about that sort of infrastructure of people that are required to be successful as an entrepreneur. And we used to use the acronym BAIL, right? Banker, accountant, insurance agency, and lawyer. As you think about that, particularly for the Spanish-speaking community, do you have those kind of resources that you can draw on where you can pull them into the program? Or is that an area that's still a gap where we need to do more work?
There's still a gap. So definitely bankers are doing a much better job in filling that gap. So Banco C, Arvest, the biggest banks around here are kind of like adding bilingual services and services that also provide that they can serve the needs of the small businesses. But lawyers, for example, there's a huge need for lawyers that are specifically because there's a lot of immigration lawyers,
right?
But there aren't many business lawyers that speak the language, and they have that service for Spanish language or Marshallese for that matter, because it's the same challenge. And that's another thing that we've seen in our community, that we need to do more for the Marshallese community, because there's a lot of also the same issues that they are like the Hispanic population are facing, the Marshallese are facing as well, or even harder, probably.
Maybe even more so. That's a more
closed.
That's a more closed, more insular community, and it's it doesn't have the same degree of sort of immigration associated with it on an ongoing basis. They're here, and it's a growing community. But that's another one that's challenging. And if you think you have trouble finding people that are bilingual in Spanish, imagine speaking Marshallese is a completely different universe. Aside from the Marshallese, no one else speaks it.
No, and as far as I understand, it's like it's a dialect. So not everybody. There's not like a real structure on the language. So even like the same people speak different ways, you know. So it's we've been fortunate because we partnered with the ACOM and the Marshallese Education Initiative, and they provide translation when we do information sessions with their community. But at the same time, that's as far as we've gone.
Sure.
Right. So we need to get further and find somebody that can provide the in-language program, like a program experience for those individuals that are trying to start a business that they don't feel comfortable speaking English.
Right.
And a lot of them, like especially the elder generation, are less comfortable speaking English. So we're trying to find solutions. It's like, unfortunately, it's not as easy and as fast as we would love to, but we do our best.
Absolutely.
Now, how do you go about, given that, relatively new to the region and the program itself is new to the region, how do you go about building those bridges within the community to kind of ensure that there's, trust around who you are, what the program is, as you're kind of engaging people to participate from cohort perspective?
Well, it's a lot of... We get into the weeds. Basically, we go to a lot of community events. Me and my team, we spend a lot of our time on the field, if you want to call it that way, talking to people.
Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground, exactly. We rely on a few events that we try to be attending, community events, but it's hard. Even at those events, it's hard to connect with people because people are distracted by all these different things that are going on. So really, it's almost a one-on-one effort that we need to go out and talk to people and meet with. Especially, I need to recruit 217 volunteers every 6 months for our accelerator to execute it, to run it. So it's about 100. It's a lot. So it's about 50 and 60 mentors alone, and then people that read the applications, that interview the semifinalists, judges for the pitch contest and for the presentations, the specialists that teach the classes in English and Spanish. So that's another 50 people. So it's a lot of people that we need to be recruiting, and so literally I spend my days talking to people all day, every day. That's what I do in English and in Spanish.
You've had some really interesting entrepreneurs go through that. And I think the thing that's fun for those of us that are kind of in this game is the differentiated products and things that they come up with. Talk a little bit about what you brought us today. What are we looking at here?
So this is her name is Gloria, and she started this business because, and this is an amazing story. So her mom is from Guanajuato in Mexico, and there's apparently in her home town there's this tradition of making chamoy, like the covering that uses for this candy, but they make it with mango. Like they cover fresh mango with the chamoy, and they sell it at the street food vendors and things like that. And her mom is a fan of that, but she has cancer and she couldn't travel to Mexico because of the illness. So Gloria took it to herself to replicate the exact experience that her mother experienced when she went back to her hometown and it was only for her that she started doing it here. And when she did it, and the family and friends tried them as well because she was giving it to them, they were like, you have to start selling this. And that's how she started doing this. But these are gummy candy covered with chamoy sauce that she makes, and she makes the chamoy sauce itself as well. But these are addictive. These are amazing.
Oh, man.
And,
So good.
And they're a little bit spicy. They're a little bit salty. They're a little bit sweet. It's really, so talk about chamoy. What is, for those of our audience that, other than me, that don't know what that is, talk a little bit about what that is.
So chamoy is it's a condiment in Mexico.
Okay.
That it's used. It's kind of like it's in between a hot sauce and it's really hard to explain. So it's a condiment. So it's a sauce that it's made of different chili peppers, toasted and roasted chili peppers.
Toasted chili peppers. Okay.
So depending on the recipe, I don't know, Gloria's secret recipe, but it must have 2-3 different chili peppers, and it has it has fruit in it. Sometimes it's mango, sometimes it's tamarind, or sometimes it's apricot. So either of those 3, and then water, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of sugar, and that's what makes chamoy what it is. And it's normally used on like fruits and vegetables, raw fruit and vegetables, just as a condiment. But lately, here in the US has become very popular. They're using it a lot in drinks, like
Goes on top of a margarita.
for
nice.
margaritas and with tequila, they put it on the side, or like they're using it on cocktails. So if you go to Los Angeles, it's like the next big thing, chamoy.
I think we're ready for the Food Network. Hopefully this episode will get picked up. I mean, that whole description there, I'm thinking, oh man, it's
Yeah, it's good
So
on top of it.
it's really, really good. It's really it's really addictive. And but again, the one like, and you can find them at stores. Like if you go to Walmart, probably they sell variety of chamoy,
Right.
but it's not. It's like it's water with artificial colors and lots of sugar.
Yeah.
And salt.
Yep.
So it doesn't have any fruit. It doesn't have any of the chili peppers. It's just like a chemical cocktail. Yeah.
Which doesn't sound nearly as good.
It's not as appetizing. So what she does is like she does the real thing.
It's homemade. It would be representative of what you'd find.
It's totally representative of what you find in Mexico, and that's what she's doing. And she is been growing slowly but surely because she started at her home, and she's still. Right now, one of our entrepreneurs, so this is one of the cool things about that. I was telling you that I was at this Carnitas restaurant now. That is one of our entrepreneurs. So he is letting her use his kitchen, so she can start so she can expand making, because she was making it at home and she can't.
So some collaboration
between the cohort, and he obviously sells them as well there. So that's why I brought him here.
Nice.
But they're like, you see all these interactions and these synergies that are being formed within the cohorts, and actually he's met entrepreneurs from our new cohort. So they're exploring new opportunities for them to collaborate and partner.
Amazing.
So it's just, and I think that's the beauty of the program as well. That
peer-to-peer connections are really something, right? They're meeting people there in addition to the mentors that they didn't know that they needed to know. Yeah. And then they're figuring out how to do stuff together.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's very powerful. And even like people that they didn't meet, but they heard about them because through, our communications or the press or whatever, like however they found about it, like, hey, can I meet them? Because I think that we could do some interesting stuff together. So, and that's what he was telling me about right now. I want to meet these two entrepreneurs because we could do something different.
That's awesome.
That's cool. And kind of what I see here from Startup Junkie perspective, we'll work with someone and then they go out and kind of task them to go out and do XYZ, come back whenever they need some more help. But even with the Kiva program, it's like some very palpable because, they get that loan, whatever amount, and you can kind of see the impact that amount of money can help them do this, that, or the other to really move the needle. But you are working with folks for a period of time and watching that progress firsthand rather than kind of someone going out and coming back and updating on that progress. You're watching it kind of unfold and kind of shepherd that to an extent. So that's got to be pretty rewarding to witness it kind of unfolding right in front of you.
It is, and but at the same time, I get the sense from the entrepreneurs, not from ourselves and not from within the organization, but from the outside, they feel like they're not moving fast enough, and they come to us every quarter when they're presenting, talking about their achievements and what they've done and the challenges that they're facing, and they're like, well, I haven't done this much, and they start telling you all these things that they've done, that they've accomplished. Like, we're like, what are you talking about? It may not sound like a lot for you, but it's a lot of stuff that you've accomplished in just 3 months. Yeah. So kudos to you for accomplishing all these things, whatever it was. It's something that you knocked off your list, and you're moving forward, and you're continuing with your on track with your journey. So
I actually love that mindset, though. I love the mindset that they feel like they're never done or they're not quite there, because it's a bad sign when entrepreneurs start to get complacent and a little too comfortable. If they always feel like I'm not going fast enough or it could be taken away tomorrow, they're going to continue to innovate. They're going to continue to grow. So that's kind of a good reaction. I accomplished this,
True.
but I didn't quite get it all done. I love that. Stay hungry. Stay hungry. Even if you've been at it for a while, if they stay hungry, they'll continue to grow. They'll stay ahead of the competition. They'll continue to innovate. That's actually a good reaction. I'm kind of lifted up by the fact that a lot of them feel that way. That they feel like they're not quite getting there because it'll keep them hungry.
That's a good perspective. I didn't think about it, but that's a very good perspective.
Yeah, but it is good also to acknowledge, hey, you got an amazing amount of stuff done, but it's good for them to always feel like they're hungry. When people start feeling like I've made it, there was a famous guy, the one that actually built this building originally, named John Lewis, that said, hubris is the first sign of an impending train wreck. If you're always feeling a little bit humble and a little bit like you're not quite getting there, you're going to continue to work really hard. And that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. You never want to lose that as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
What excites you, I guess, looking ahead for both the program and just the region? What excites you about what's on the horizon for Northwest Arkansas, EforAll, and the entrepreneurial ecosystem?
Well, Northwest Arkansas, I think we are living in, we're experiencing this tremendous growth from a population perspective, from an economic perspective, and from an entrepreneurial perspective. In good part, thanks to you guys, Startup Junkie, because you've been pushing for that change and for that growth to happen. Working with the University of Arkansas, working with all these other organizations. So looking at the size of the ecosystem that has been built here in Northwest Arkansas, it's amazing. I don't know if I was that ignorant in Dallas, but I didn't ever see this many people coming together to try to promote entrepreneurship and innovation in just one place. Yes, maybe San Francisco or New York, but
sure.
But beyond those places, I don't think that there was this much effort done to grow this. As far as Entrepreneurship for All goes, I think we're just in the beginning stages. I think that we have a lot of, as I said, the Marshallese community, expanding with the Hispanic community, and grow, even just from an outreach perspective, we have touched just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many people in the community that we haven't even talked to. The Native American communities, the rural communities, now, for the first time, we have somebody from Siloam Springs, but before it was only, within the Rogers, Springdale, Fayetteville, and Bentonville kind of area. So expanding beyond that and expanding our cohorts and growing that support, I think it's what excites me, because we can have a huge impact in not only in those lives, but in our community in general, because all those businesses generate more dollars that,
absolutely
translate into jobs, into many other things that are just going to, and actually innovate. And that's what you were talking about, Jeff, the innovation. And mind you, it's not technology, it's not all these things, but it's the everyday services that somebody expects to receive, and that the more competition, the better the services, and the more innovative they are, and the better we all are with all those services that are being created or products that are being created.
EforAll is such a great name. Think about that. That is a big mandate, EforAll. And those of us who have been in this game for a long time feel like entrepreneurship is the salvation of the world, because it gives people the tools to take their own destiny into their own hands. You got a big mandate, and we're here to help you because we believe in it.
We know
it's really, really important, and it's there are some communities where they're waiting for someone to parachute in to fix things. Entrepreneurs, they see a problem and they fix a problem, and if you can give them the tools to do that, which is what you all do every day, you can change a lot of outcomes. All these other things that we see that are social problems, if you've got that core belief that if I have an idea or I see a problem that needs to be solved, I can solve it and there are people to help, it changes so many outcomes. So EforAll is a great name. I wish I'd thought of it.
Me too.
It's a great name.
It is a great name. It is actually a great name, and very easy to communicate as well.
It is. It's very clear what you're trying to do.
It's very clear without having to say much.
Absolutely. Absolutely right.
Yeah, and from a collaboration standpoint, I know we've collaborated on a number of things already, but just kind of we're tasked with the USDA grant that we currently operate under to serve some of the more rural communities. And so that's an area that we're continue to try to build upon. So this is probably an off-air conversation, but there's definitely opportunity there, I think, to where we could lock arms a little bit and maybe kind of reach out while we're already trying to do that and kind of help expose them to what you are doing as well.
Absolutely. Any opportunity that we have to connect with more people, we'll take it. And again, and this is not because you're here, Jeff, but we're very thankful with all the support that you guys have given us with Startup Junkie, because, we've received support from, like, you share our requests for volunteers. You volunteer, both of you volunteer. We've felt the support and the help and you're next to us, so we are thankful for that.
Well, we're glad to do it. We're definitely glad to do it because it's a shared mission, what we're trying to do, and a shared purpose, and it's something that's really, really meaningful. One of the ways, I think it's landing the plane time, that we like to land the plane when we have the podcast is you've had all this amazing experience as an entrepreneur, running EforAll, building companies, working in advertising, corporate settings, all that. If you could take all that accumulated knowledge that you have now from multiple markets and multiple experiences and go back to your younger self, what advice would you give your younger self?
I would say, many of the choices that I made were dictated by my parents. So it wasn't necessarily me who was making the choice. Mm-hmm. If I were to give an advice to my younger self, is like, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want, but just commit to it, do it well, sure. and just give it your full 110%, and you're going to be successful. Honestly, as long as you are committed to what you want to do and how you want to do it, it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to be successful. Mm-hmm. But you have to try. You have to be, and also another thing, I think it's be something that I was for many years afraid of. It's failure, and I think you need to be, open to fail, and you need to be, and not take it, hard. Obviously, it's going to hit you, and it's going to make you feel uncomfortable. But failure is part of growth. Yeah, and it's part of life, and it's part of how you get better. And now that I failed many times, now I know that I shouldn't have been afraid of failing before and of trying to be perfect. Right. Because perfect doesn't take you where you need to be.
No doubt.
That's good.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. Where can our listeners find out more about EforAll? What's the best way for them to find out more about the program?
The easiest way is going to our website, that is EforAll.org. You can also always reach out to me. My email address is rodrigo.salas@EforAll.org. I'm always open to meeting new people, talking to new people. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a volunteer, if you are just interested in learning more about our program, reach out and I'll be happy to talk to you.
Outstanding. Can we have a mezcal tasting next time we get together for a podcast?
Yes, for sure.
All right.
Let's
plan on it. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was great to talk to you guys.
Ecosystem builders, entrepreneurs, chambers of commerce, mayors. If you're interested in taking your economic future into your own hands, we've got a book that can help you. Creating Startup Junkies, Building Sustainable Venture Ecosystems in Unexpected Places is the guide. It's a little bit inspiration. It's a little bit toolkit. What it will allow you to do is take your economic future into your own hands and build a sustainable small business, innovation, and entrepreneurial ecosystem in your backyard. If you'd like to hear more, check out creatingstartupjunkies.com. The Startup Junkie podcast reaches over 100 countries and has had over 100,000 downloads. If you're interested in reaching some of the most motivated and engaged innovators and entrepreneurs on a worldwide basis, give us a shout.